In 2011, news outlets across America reported that Scottie Pippen, six-time NBA champion, one of the 50 greatest players in league history, had filed for bankruptcy. There was just one problem with that story. It wasn't true. A federal appeals court would later put it in writing, in language you rarely see from a judge. Several news organizations reported that he had filed for bankruptcy. This is false. He has not. But here's what makes that correction so strange. The reports were wrong, and right about almost everything else. Scottie Pippen really had lost millions of dollars. He really had watched a fortune built over 18 seasons drain away after he retired. He just hadn't lost it the way everyone assumed. He didn't overspend it or gamble it away. Somebody else signed his name. This is a money story. Let's get into it. To understand what Scottie Pippen lost, you have to first understand something almost nobody gets right about what he earned. Pippen grew up in Hamburg, Arkansas, the youngest of 12 children. He arrived at the University of Central Arkansas as a team manager, not a scholarship player, a manager, and grew into a first-round draft pick. By the 1990s, he was the second-best player on the greatest basketball team most people had ever seen, and he was, famously, underpaid. In 1991, Pippen signed a 7-year contract worth roughly $18 million. It felt enormous at the time. It aged terribly. By the Bulls' final championship season, Pippen was earning about $2.8 million, the sixth highest salary on his own team and outside the top 100 in the league. Michael Jordan made over $30 million that same year. Pippen had traded away his upside for security, and he watched the market pass him by for the better part of a decade. But here is the number that surprises people. Across 18 NBA seasons, Scottie Pippen earned a total of $109,957,430 in salary. Michael Jordan's career NBA salary was roughly $94 million. On the court, over a full career, Pippen out-earned Jordan because he played longer and because Jordan spent his early prime on a rookie scale deal too. So the man walked away from basketball in 2004 with well over $100 million in career earnings. The question that would define his next decade was what happened to it. When you are a professional athlete, you are handed a fortune before you are handed an education in what to do with it. So athletes do what any reasonable person does when the money is bigger than the expertise. They hire someone. Pippen hired a Chicago investment advisor named Robert Lunn. Lunn had the resume you would want. He had worked at Morgan Stanley and at Lehman Brothers before starting his own advisory firm in the 1990s. And critically, according to reporting on the relationship, Lunn came highly recommended by people around the Bulls organization. This was not a stranger who cold-called him. This was the trusted referral. Pippen, by his own account, placed more than $20 million under Lunn's management. Court papers put the figure Lunn actually handled at around $17.5 million. And then things started going wrong in ways Pippen didn't see. Some investments soured. There was a deal to buy a private jet, a Gulfstream aircraft with a purchase price in the range of $4.3 million, that Pippen later alleged in court filings was so poorly structured it cost him roughly $1.7 million. But the jet deal was not the worst of it. In May of 2001, Robert Lunn had obtained a $480,000 line of credit from a bank in Oak Brook, Illinois, called Leaders Bank. In 2004, he expanded that credit line twice, first to $1.2 million, then to $1.32 million. And he took out separate loans, including one for $1.4 million that he told the bank were on behalf of his clients. Pippen did not know about that loan. Federal prosecutors would later state it plainly. Lunn fraudulently told the bank that Pippen and another client, a retired venture capitalist named Robert Garras, were aware of the loans. In reality, neither man had any knowledge of them. When Pippen testified at trial, he said he had received financial papers with his signature forged on them. Lunn used nearly all of the fraudulently obtained money for his own benefit, mortgage payments and payments to other investment clients to keep the operation running. Pippen went after him. In 2004, he won an $11.8 million civil judgment against Robert Lunn. On paper, that looked like justice. On paper is where a lot of judgments stay. Lunn filed for bankruptcy in 2005, and Pippen recovered roughly $8 million of the stolen investment through the bankruptcy court. But court papers stated that his losses exceeded, by millions of dollars, what he was able to get back. A judgment is a piece of paper that says you are owed money. It is not money. The criminal case took another decade. In 2014, a federal jury convicted Robert Lunn on 5 counts of bank fraud. Prosecutors had accused him of defrauding Leaders Bank and 2 clients of more than $3.2 million. In March of 2016, a federal judge sentenced him to 3 years in prison, well short of the 9 years prosecutors had asked for, and ordered him to forfeit $2.7 million and pay restitution of more than $1.16 million to Leaders Bank and $400,000 to Scottie Pippen. The sentencing judge, Charles Norgal, said this was not a garden variety fraud. He said the representations Lunn made along the way were an absolute lie, and that he had presented himself to his victims with skill and deceit. Pippen and his then-wife wrote to the federal court describing what it felt like to learn that a substantial amount of their earnings had been in the hands of a criminal. They said they felt violated and betrayed. And then, on top of all of it, came the bankruptcy story that wasn't true. In 2011, a wave of articles about broke NBA players swept Pippen up and reported that he had filed for bankruptcy. He sued. He lost. Not because the reports were accurate, but because as a public figure he had to prove the outlets acted with actual malice, and he couldn't. The appeals court noted something remarkable in passing. The news organizations conceded that if they had done even a cursory investigation, they would have discovered Pippen had never declared bankruptcy. He had lost millions to a convicted fraudster, and the public record of it, for years, was a headline that got the story wrong. It would be easy to file Scottie Pippen under the usual heading, another athlete who lost his money. But that heading is exactly what the appeals court had to correct, and it misses what actually happened. Pippen didn't blow a fortune on cars and parties. His losses came through a man he hired specifically to prevent that outcome. A man with a Morgan Stanley pedigree who came recommended by people he had every reason to trust. So the lesson here is not hire better people. Pippen did the thing you're supposed to do. The lesson is narrower and harder. Delegation is not abdication. You can hand someone the work. You cannot manage the details. Every one of the mechanisms that hurt Pippen, a loan taken in his name, a signature he says was forged, a jet deal he didn't understand the structure of, depended on nobody checking. Not on Pippen being foolish. On Pippen being busy and too trusting, and reasonably assuming that the person he paid to look at this was looking at it. The practical version, for anyone whose money is managed by someone else: know what accounts exist in your name. Read what you sign. Get statements from the institution holding your money, not only from the person managing it. Ask what you own and where it is, on a schedule, in writing. None of that requires financial expertise. It requires attention, and attention is the one thing you can never outsource. A lot of people let that slide. Scottie Pippen is 60 now, and he is rebuilt. He works in broadcasting, he has business interests, and in March of 2026, a collection of his memorabilia sold at Sotheby's for more than $6.2 million across 71 lots. His flu game jersey alone brought $486,000. The man is fine. But there is a version of Scottie Pippen who kept the whole $109 million. And the only difference between that man and this one is a few hours a month of somebody looking at the paperwork. That's the whole lesson. Trust is not a financial strategy. Verification is. If this one hit you, hit subscribe, because next time we're staying in the NBA, but flipping the story completely. We're telling you about a champion who earned over $100 million and lost it too. Except nobody forged his signature. Nobody stole from him. He signed every check himself. You don't want to miss it.